Hi guys, welcome to the CATWay. So in this video, we are going to solve our daily set. And before we begin, do not forget to like, share and subscribe. Now what do we have today is that Joker Smith assigns numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 5 boys A, B, C, D and E, not necessarily in the same order. B is assigned the number 2. Okay, so we have 5 boys B, C, D and E who have been assigned different numbers among 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. What we also know is that B is assigned the number 2. B is assigned the number 2. Okay. Sorry, guys. So then Smith calls 7 distinct numbers, call 1 to call 7, one at a time. The sum of these 7 numbers is 100 and each of them is greater than 2. All right, so seven numbers, different numbers have been called whose sum is 100 and each of them is greater than 2. The sum of the numbers called in call 1 and call 2 is 30. So call 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 7 is given to you as 100, whereas call 1 plus 2 has been given to you as 30. Okay, now he does not call the numbers 6 and 7. So 6 and 7 is not being called. Exactly one of the numbers is less than 10. So one number we have less than 10. On each call, only the boys whose assigned number, that is these numbers, okay, whose assigned number is a factor of the called number raise their hand. Okay, so let's say the number 42 has been called. Okay, number 42 has been called. So the person who has been given number 2 will be raising the hand, 3 will be raising the hand, 4 will not be raising, 5 will not be raising, and 6 will be raising the hands, right? So the people who have been assigned 2, 3, and 6 will be raising the hands if number 42 is called, because among the numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, only these three are the ones which are the factors of 42. So this is the pure logic behind this question. Now you have been given the table, that is in which for every call, for different calls, which people have raised their hands has been given to you. Okay, which person raises their hand has been given to you. Okay, now guys, in both these instances, if you see that if talk about call 1 and call 2, okay, we know that the sum is equal to 30, right? We know that the sum is equal to 30. Okay, out of that, what we know is that C1 is divisible by 3 numbers. Okay, and those numbers have been given to B, D, and E. Those numbers have been given to B, D, and E, right? And then you have C2, which is called, which in which 4 people raise their hand, which are B, C, D, and E, right? And what we know is that B is equal to 2, right? What we know is that B is equal to 2. Now, if B is raising a hand, and A is not raising a hand, right? If that means first thing is clear that both C1 and C2 are a multiple of 2, right? Both C1 and C2 are a multiple of 2. Okay. Now, if they are a multiple of 2, okay, so what is going to happen is, if you look closely, A is the person who is not raising his hand in either of the numbers being called. Okay, A is the person who hasn't raised the hand in either of the numbers being called. Whereas what we also know is that C2 is a multiple of 4 of these numbers out of 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? That means there is only one possibility, there is only one case, that C1 and C2, both of them are not divisible by 5. Okay, both of them are not divisible by 5, because if it would have been 5, B would not have been able to raise his hand. If it would have been 10, then among 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, and 6, there would be 3 people who would not be able to raise their hand, right? If it was 15, B was not able to raise his hand. If it was 20, B was able to raise, but the person who has been given 3 cannot raise. The person who has been given 6 cannot raise. Okay, 20 is not an option. 25 is also not an option. Okay, and the numbers cannot be 30. Okay, any of the number cannot be 30 because he is not going to call 0. Okay, so that means both the numbers are not a multiple of 5. Okay, that means the only person who is not going to raise his hand in both these cases must be given the number 5. Okay, must have been assigned the number 5, and that is the only reason he did not raise his hand, and that person is A. Okay, so now what we know is that A is the person who has got who has been assigned the number 5. Okay. Okay. Now what do we have is key, we know that B is equal to 2. So we definitely know is that C, D, and E in any order are 3, 4, and 6. They are 3, 4, and 6 in any order. Okay. Chalo. Now what do we have is, okay, if you see that 3, 4, and 6, these are the people who are raising the hand, right? So if you look closely, C1 has been raised by 3 and C2 has been raised by 4. Okay. Now they are definitely a multiple of 6, right? They are definitely a multiple of 6. So what are the possibilities? They have the possibilities of 6, 12, 18, and 24. These are the possibilities. If any of the number is 6, then it will be 5 and it will be 4 who will not be raising the hand. Okay, it will be 5 and it will be 4 who will not be raising the hand. And in that case, the other number would be 24. The other number would be 24. Whereas in that case, what is going to happen is that 2, 3, 4, and 6, all four of them are going to raise their hand. Okay. All right. Now, guys, what do we have is, so this is one possibility that C1 and C2 might be 6 and 24. Okay, C1 and C2 might be 6 and 24. And the other possibility is they might be 12 and 18. Okay, they might be 12 and 18. Okay. Now, between these two, when you have to determine that which is the actual case, now if you look closely, what has been given is that the number 6 has not been called. Okay, so that means the possibility of 6 and 24 being C1 and C2 is not an option. So the only option for C1 and C2 is 12 and 18. Okay. Now between 12 and 18, if you have 12, 12 will be called by 2, in 12 people who will raise hand is 2, 3, 4, and 6. Whereas in 18, there will be only 3 people who are going to raise their hand, that are 2, 3, and 6. That makes it certain that C1 is 18 and C2 is 12. So we can fill our table here also. C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, 6, and C7 is what we have. And between them, what we know is that C1 is 18 and C2 is 12 now. Okay, C1 is 18. Just a second, guys. Just a second. Okay, so what we know is C1 is 18 and C2 is 12. Okay, C1 is 18 and C2 is 12. Okay, then what we know is that the summation of call 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is equal to 70 now, because you know 1 and 2 is 30. So the summation of call 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 is equal to 70. Okay, now among them, okay, if you look closely, none of the 5 can be greater than 30. Okay, because 4 of the 5 are greater than 10. Okay, 4 of the 5 are greater than 10. So if all those are 10, 10, 10, and 10, then the maximum the fifth one can go is 30. So that makes it clear that none of the numbers are greater than 30. Okay, that makes our task a bit easier. Okay, chalo. Now if you look at C3, okay, if you look at C3, so C3, the hand has been raised only by A, who was assigned the number 5. Okay, it has only been raised by A, who is assigned the number 5. That means the numbers possible are 5. Okay, then if it is 10, then B has to raise. If it is 15, then the person who has been given 3 has to raise. If it is 20, the person given 4 has to raise. It cannot be 25, that because then 2 people will have to raise. Okay, okay, it cannot be 25. Okay, and it cannot be 30. That is also we know, because if it is 30, then the person being 6 will have to raise. So below 30, there is only one possibility for C3, that is 5. There is only one possibility for C3, that is 5. Now that is also done. Okay, so that means C3 must definitely be 5. Okay, now come to C4. Now C4 is a number which definitely has to be greater than 10, because there is only one number which is less than 10, and that is C3, 5. So C4 has to be greater than 10, and it is a number which is not divisible by any of these numbers. Okay, that means that makes it clear that it is definitely a prime. So C4 is definitely a prime. Okay, Now come to C5. Okay. Now C5, everyone has raised their hand, okay, except the person A who has been assigned number 5. Okay, who has been assigned number 5. All right. Now, if you see, guys, what is going to happen is that for C5, it is a multiple of 2, 3, 4, and 6. So what are the possibilities of being a multiple of 2, 3, 4, and 6? So 6 is one, 2, 3, 4, and 6. All if it has to be a multiple, the lowest multiple is 12. Okay. Apart from that, it could be 24. Apart from that, it could be 36. Now 36 is also not possible because none of the numbers are greater than 30. Now between 12 and 24, we know that C2 is already been taken and it is 12. So the only possibility for C5 is 24. The only possibility for C5 is 24. Okay. Chalo. Then what do we have? Let's see. Okay. If you talk about C6, okay, if you talk about C6. So C6, A and B have raised their hand. Okay, A and B have raised their hand. So if only 5 and 2 have raised their hand, that means it is definitely the number 10. It is definitely the number 10. There is no other possibility. Okay, because 15, 2 cannot raise, 20, 4 will also raise, and so on. 25, 2 cannot raise, 30, 6 will also raise, 3 will also raise, and so on. So the only possibility for C6 is being 10. Now what you know is that C1, C2, out of this 70, what we know is that 24, 10, 34, and 5, 39 have been taken. Okay, what we know is 35 points have been taken from us. Okay. Sorry, 39 points have been taken. That means what we are left with is 31. The summation should be 31, and that is the summation of C4 plus C7. Now what we know, what we calculated earlier is that C4 is a multiple of is a prime number. Okay, C4 is a prime number, and what do you have is for about C7 that it is only multiple of 2. Okay, it is only a multiple of 2. Now, what are the prime numbers above 10 and below 30? So the possible options are 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, and 29. So these are the possible options, right? If you go to 23 and 29, okay, the other number would be a single digit number. So that is not possible. Okay, that is not possible. If you take 11, if you consider 11, so if one number is 11, the other number, that is if C4 is 11, the other number should be 20. If it is 20, then the hand should be raised by the person who has been given 5, 4, and 2. But we can see only 2 is raising the hand. So 11 being C4 is not possible. 13 being C4. So if C4 is 13, then the other number would be 18. And in that case, the person who has been assigned value 6 should also raise his hand. So 13 is not possible. If you take 19, the other person would be 12. And again, that is not possible. Okay. So the only possibility for C4 is 17, and if C4 is 17, what we know is that C7 is what? 14. C7 in that case is 14. So we now know all the numbers. Now one thing that we have to identify is that which person was given which number. Okay. So okay, what do we have is that if you talk about 1 and 2, okay, if you talk about numbers 1 and 2, what you can see is that hand has been raised for C1, which is 18. For C1, which is 18, the hands have been raised by 3 people, and those people would be numbers 2, number 3, and number 6. Whereas for C2, it was 12, and hand would be raised by 2, 3, 4, and 6. Right now, one person who is extra in C2 is C, and definitely that person must be given value of 4. That person must be given the value of 4. Okay. So now we know that the person who was C has been assigned number 4. Now what else do we have? Let's see how can we identify between D and E. So one of them is 6 and one of them is 3. Okay, one of them is 6 and one of them is 3. Okay. So if you look closely, see between them, either they both are calling, okay, or they both are not calling. Okay, so there is no way we can actually identify that which one will be 3 and which one will be 6. So that is something that is optional between them. Anyone can have 3 and anyone can have 6. Now we have solved the set. So let's move towards the questions. So the first is, what is the number called in call 3? So call 3 is 5. Option number B will be the right answer. What is the number called in call 4? Call 4 is 17. Option number D will be the right answer. Then what you have is that if Smith continues calling and calls number 45 in call 8, then who all would raise their hands? Okay, who all would raise their hands? Okay, so if the number is 45, that means the person who has been assigned 3 would be raising, person who has been assigned 5 will be raising. But as you can see that 3 is undetermined. We do not know if it is D, if it is E. Okay, that is something that is undetermined. Okay, so we cannot exactly say if it will be A and D or if it will be A and E. So the correct answer for this question is option number D, cannot be determined. So this was again a pretty good set, guys, and hope you have now understood the set well. Thanks for watching the video.